going on, guys? Well, I'm here at Late Night Gaming. I'm with my pals McBlobber, Woo, and Solo, and we're going to be talking about some of the newly spoiled or whatever cards here from Star Wars Unlimited. Before we get into that, I just want to remind you all of our mod that we've been working hard on here on Tabletop Simulator, so you can check it out. We'll put a link to be able to download this one so you guys can get some games in. I just updated all the these decks in here so you guys can try out the game. And definitely, just the disclaimer is you definitely still want to support your local game store and FFG and by buying physical product upon release. Okay, let's talk about these new cards. So first card here is Resupply. Thoughts on this one, McBobber?
Resupply. I think that's pretty obviously a good card. It's sort of like the Death Star operator, Death Star gunner. I forget his name, but the guy who dies and turns into a resource. This is basically that, but in an event instead. It doesn't enter play ready, which is a little bit worse than the other guy, but you can more easily control when you get that resource versus the other guy. You do have to figure out a way to kill him, which can be tough the turn he enters play. So it has that over him, I suppose. But this card can also be used in hero decks, so heroes have their option to ramp as well. And I think as we go through here, we'll see some green cards that are pretty strong and pretty expensive that you definitely want to ramp to. So yeah, it's a good card. Seems like you'll see it pretty often in green decks.
Yeah, so this card Resupply put this event into play as a resource. 3 cost. What do you think about this one, Woo?
I like ramp strategies, and it's in green in this game just as it is in Magic. They already have 2 ramp cards and a bunch of fatties, so it looks like their weakness is going to be their early game, so spending all your early turns doing stuff like this, you might just lose the board completely, so it won't matter. So I think it's going to be best to pair it up with some kind of defense, but as far as the card goes, it seems the right rate for an effect like that.
So you got thoughts on Resupply?
Yeah, I personally like big cards that do big things to the game, so having an enabler to that strategy is needed. I'm curious to see if you'll get similar effects in other colors, or if it'll stick to you having to run green in order to get that ability. So, it costing 3, basically it's a very early game card. So that's a good sign for that, because you start with 2, and then basically turn 2 you're ramping into 4. So this is great, because there are certain cards that we play a game called Arcana where there's certain ramp cards where, and that's another thing. I wonder if we'll get bigger ramp cards, like maybe there'll be a card that gets 2 resources, or first maybe there's a trade-off between health and resources. Who knows? So, but I like the card.
Yeah, I think it goes in pretty much every green deck that's trying to run some of these big cards. So yeah, it's kind of like Wu was saying, it's kind of tough to kind of brick your turn 2 to play this. But yeah, if you can make sure you don't just get overwhelmed early, so some sentinels and things like that to keep you alive, and then you have the ramp to get out the big stuff. It seems like a pretty important card for green here. All right, so we've got Overwhelming Barrage, our next card. It's a 5 cost event, and it's command villainy. Give a friendly unit +2/+2 for this phase. Then it deals damage equal to its power divided as you choose among any number of units. Thoughts on this one, Wu?
Seems kind of nuts to me. Seems like that card can kill 2, 3 things sometimes, because you're Going to play it on some big guy that already has a lot of attack. You're going to boost it even more. You're going to split the damage up. It doesn't seem like there's going to be much counterplay to stuff like this because I don't think this game has any like interrupt abilities. So it just seems really strong compared to like some of the other removal we've seen so far. With the one clause that you have to have a big thing in play to make it good.
All right. Who likes it? Solo?
Well, actually, I do think there is interrupt in the game. You got the 9-drop ship that actually is in green, funny enough. And is it in green or is it in? Is it just?
You're talking about Relentless?
Relentless, yeah. Is that green, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So funny enough, it's in green, and it stops you from playing this card because I don't know if you're playing this card the moment. You got like the moment you can turn 5. It seems like this card would need some setup, so to be effective, to be as effective as you want. Because I think you'd want this to be on something big.
Yeah, I think it's best once you deploy your leader, like if you're able to get your leader in and then you use their attack because that's probably pretty high. But there's also like some pretty crazy stuff in villainy that like there's a ship that is pretty inexpensive and it does 4 attack and only has 1 health. You know that one I'm talking about? And it like draws you cards if you have control or something. So like there's ways to like get
it's a 3 cost, I think.
You can get like, you know, if you're getting spreading out 6 damage, I mean, or even on turn 4 when this comes in, like you're just clearing out their whole board basically. You just, you know, now you're just going down Broadway with like all your guys. You got 2-3 guys still out there. Like that game's probably over at that point.
I just want to say this. This seems like a great closer too. So if you want to win a game, you can win a game with this card, like to end the game.
It seems like we all like this one.
Yeah.
What does McBauer think?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys pretty much nailed it. This card's pretty obviously good, right? Like, your guy gets bigger for a little bit. You deal a whole bunch of damage. You even get to divide it as you choose, which gives you a lot of versatility. It's just a good card. Like, there's not really a whole lot more to say about it. It does what it says on the tin, kills stuff, and helps you win.
This is great with the unit, with the Palpatine unit. That's a nice card that this would go good with.
Anything with high power.
What about the Blizzard Assault at? So it's an 8 cost, and let's see, a 9/9 stat line. When this unit attacks and defeats a unit, you may deal the excess damage from this attack to an enemy ground unit. What do you think about that one, Solo?
Well, it's good. It's expensive. It is good though. When the unit attacks, look, anything that comes in, when anything that does something extra when it attacks is always going to be good. So you're definitely paying for it, but it's a 9/9. I mean, this thing is a tank, right? Like if you don't have any vanquishes in hand, it's gonna take a lot to deal with this, and you're gonna also take a lot of damage dealing with this. So you better have something big or a vanquish in your hand to trade with this. Otherwise, this kind of just is like pseudo board clearing a little bit. So
my experience in this game so far has been that like the game is decided by turn 6 or 7, like pretty much. Like this guy comes in, he doesn't attack on the, you know, in the round that you play him. So it's just there's not really like an on play ability with him. I don't know, man. I think unless there's a way to like cheat this in somehow, it's not gonna really see play and stuff. But if there's like not that one that damages your base, that seems too crazy. But if there's some other way to get this in, then it might be playable. But I I think right now it's unplayable.
Well, no, factor in the ramp card we just talked about. It's more playable.
Yeah, I still think with that, like, you play against like a Leia deck or something, you know, they're gonna kill you by like turn 5 or 6. Like, I don't know, I don't see it. But what do the other guys think? What do you think, McBauer?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say unplayable, but it's definitely too expensive for how low impact it is when it hits the table. When you're playing a really big, really expensive card, you generally want it to have a big impact on the game immediately as soon as it enters play, and this doesn't do that. Whereas most of our other big cards do, you know, like Relentless starts blocking events immediately, Palpatine immediately deals damage, Han, of course, we know that guy, he rushes in and he kills something. Like, those are all really immediately big impact plays, and the Blizzard Assault AT-AT is not doing that. So I think there's probably going to be some sort of walker synergy at some point that might make it more valuable, but as it stands, I don't think this card is doing enough for the cost.
Wu, do you concur?
Yeah, I'm with Palm on that. I think that card's pretty bad, personally. Just don't think it's doing much for its cost.
I feel like cards in games like this they may not be good in the first set, but then there's some other card that comes out later that like makes it good. Like you can cheat it or something.
All they need is stuff that makes vehicles or walkers better. Like, you know, enough incentive will make this worth it, but we just don't have that incentive at the time.
I will say this, just quickly, because I do know there's a lot of cards that are pretty expensive that they've released. Like, I think I think you gotta look at the curve of this game, and like I think the curve of this game, these 8-cost cards might be cheaper than we're thinking. Like, I think that's something to keep in mind. Like, we're still really like a third of the way in with the release of the set, so unless they just drop a bunch of stuff that's cost 2 and 3 and 1 and just blows us away with these low cost cards, a lot of the cards have been hovering between 5, and now we're getting a lot of like 8 costs, 7 costs. Even Han's at 6 costs. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the curve in this game we need to be mindful of the curve as we assess these cards. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, mark my words, man. This thing's gonna be, keeping my beer from touching the table. You know, it's gonna be a little coaster for me. That's what it's gonna do for me.
Oh my god.
Hey man, the big set, most of the cards are not going to be playable in top tier decks. It's the nature of every card game ever.
Alright, we got a Gladiator Star Destroyer here. This guy costs 6. He's a 5/6. When played, give a unit Sentinel for this phase. And what'd you think I guess I'm first to talk about this one. I really, really like this card. I think when you're going up against some of these like aggro decks and stuff, obviously Sentinel is really important, and just being able to kind of like give something Sentinel, it seems pretty strong to me, especially if you have like a a big unit down. So yeah, I think I don't know. This guy seems good. What do you think, McBauer?
I'm a little bit more lukewarm on this card, I think. Just 5/6 for 6 costs doesn't seem like great stats. And Temporary Sentinel is kind of neat, but I kind of wish it was just a Sentinel, like plain old. And I can get Sentinel to a ground unit. That's kind of cool, but I think I'd rather this card just be Sentinel itself, and I would have liked it a little bit more. Yeah, I think it's a little expensive. That's my thoughts here, but again, we might get some trait synergy. We might have stuff for capital ships. I feel like that would make sense, but without saying that, I'm not hyped for this card.
Whoa.
I mean, it's doing what I think green needs, which is helping you stall. Just not sure about the rate right now. That's 6 cost. Because you kind of... That's like... You want a cheap card to do an effect like this. You don't want your... Like, this is a ramp target, but its like stats are kind of low for a ramp target. I'm kind of mid on it. I don't know. I kind of like that green has the ability to give things Sentinel. I'm just not sure the rates there.
Or maybe if it had Sentinel as well, or something, and it gave something Sentinel. Maybe. What do you think, Solo?
And this card is like severely below curve. I think. I just think this card is. It's really bad. Like, there's lower cost cards that have like more defensive stats because this is like a defensive card. I guess they dropped the defense on this because it's giving out Sentinel. But yeah, 5. It should have been. This card should have been a 5/8. Then it's like, all right, I'm with that because after I lose that 1 turn Sentinel, like as the game drags on, this card gets worse and worse and worse. And your opponent can kind of be patient and play around this.
I just think it's incredible that you can give Sentinel to units either in the space or the ground based on where your enemy is fortified. I think that kind of flexibility is like underrated there, like especially with what Wu was saying, where you're trying to in green, try to control, try to protect yourself, try to get to the late game. Like, I don't know. I think this card's going in green decks. I think it's good. Mark my words. I won't be putting my drink on that.
All right, we'll see.
All right, we've got an upgrade here. It's a 2 cost blue card, entrenched. Attached unit can't attack bases, and it gives the unit +3/+3. And where are we at? McBobber, what do you think about this one?
So I haven't really had any chance to actually play with this card yet, but just on paper, I love this card. I love the versatility. I like that you can put it on the opponent's characters, and they can't attack the base anymore. So if your deck's built to go all in on one lane, you could just start entrenching the opponent's characters in the opposite lane, who are high attack characters to protect your base. Even on your own guys, this could be cool. You could put it on overwhelmed characters, and then that not being able to attack the base doesn't really matter. Or stick it on your sentinels to make them just bigger walls to be punched through. So I think for 2 costs, 3/3 in stats is pretty solid. I'm a fan.
What do you think, Wu?
Yeah, I love this card. I shoved 3 of these in the Chewy deck that I was playing. I think like putting this on Sentinels is going to be really obnoxious, and it's like the ultimate board control card because it doesn't really matter if you're not tagging the base. If you're just if you just dominate the board, then eventually like you'll kill the base with whatever. It just seems really strong.
Solo, you like entrenched?
This card is phenomenal. It's such a versatile card. McBobber just kind of gave you some sauce to kind of go with the chicken here.
Maybe he shouldn't have said that. Maybe he should have kept all that. I was telling him, I'm like, nobody knows this, McBobber. Nobody thought to put this upgrade on the other team's stuff. You should have kept that for a year, for Worlds.
That's not me.
I'm like, what are you doing, man? You're like giving it all away right now. We should start a Patreon and start giving away the real stuff at that time.
I'm sure that plenty of people thought of this.
Also, let's be real. It's very unlikely you're going to be wanting to give many things +3/+3 on your opponent's side of the board.
But here's the sauce, though. The sauce is if you're weak in like if your deck build focuses on one region, like maybe you're more space than ground, this could save you. Because like if your opponent doesn't have any way to remove it, and you're not playing any units on that side for your opponent to, even if they have like an overwhelmed character, to kind of still get at your base and get around it, they can't. That is huge. That's why this card is so like the number one thing I see with this card is versatility. It's a 3/3 at the end of the day. If you got an opponent that's just too big, this card lets you climb them. Like if you need to defend a region you're strong in, this lets you do that. Like if you need, what it's such a versatile card. Like
I mean, my first strategy in this game is going to be, when the set comes out, is going to be all in one lane, probably the ground, with just, big beefy units and stuff, and then I'm just reaching across into space with entrenching their space units, hitting them with this freaking overwhelming barrage over there, hitting them with max firepower over there, and just not even it just seems like they already said it, right? They said the ground units have better stats than space units for their cost
right now.
So like that's the design that they went with in the game.
Oh, that's the design. Got you.
And so like as a general rule, so if you can, there's definitely strategies where you don't even have to put your units in a lane and just reach across with stuff like this. It just seems super duper good.
What do you think the trade-off is going to be, right? Is space units going to have more effects? Better things that affect the game differently?
Doesn't seem like it. It just seems like they're just across the board, just have, they said that they have across the board like weaker stats. I haven't really seen that. Like some of the space units seem like they have pretty high attack. So, for their cost. So I'm not really sure what, if the data has shown that to be true. But they did say that on one of their live streams. They said they started with like space and ground being equal power, and then they switched it to ground being more powerful than space or something like that. That's what they said, right? You guys remember hearing that?
Something to that effect. But it seems to be a very minor difference so far.
But also, maybe the space units, like I said, they have certain effects like that. That card that comes in when you play it and just does 4 or 3 damage, and what's like a 3/1.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe the effects will be better in the space units.
I don't know, but we got a lot of cards to get through, not a lot of time. So let's talk about Luke's lightsaber. He's a 2-cost. Touch a non-vehicle when played. If touched unit is Luke Skywalker, heal all damage for him. Give a shield token to him. He gives you a 3/3/1. And what do you think about Luke's lightsaber?
Yeah, I don't love these leader-specific cards. This is an intro deck card, right?
It's in the starter, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, it's so specific. It's like a dead card until you have exactly your leader, and then if your leader dies, it's basically a dead card too. I don't think this card's any good when you're not playing it on Luke. So it's fine. I don't love it though.
Solo?
Well,
Solo.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
I will say this. I think this card has a high ceiling, but a very low floor. It helps Luke out a lot, and a 3/1 is not bad. It really depends on the leader suite and the unit suite. It just depends. But this is on Luke. This card is. And I guess I should say this. With Luke, it has a high ceiling and a low floor. I think without Luke, this card is probably unplayable.
All right. McBobber, you got any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I think this card will get better over time. I'm almost certain we'll get a Luke unit in this set, right? That seems like it's almost for sure. So once you have a Luke unit, and the Luke leader both, you have more targets for this. And this card, the way it works, like, you're encouraged to already be damaged to get the most value out of it. So I feel like, unlike Vader's lightsaber, I feel like this would be better on a unit, like just a regular guy who's going to get a little damage through play like normal. Maybe a little bit cheaper, and you could get this down on him early for the full heal and the shields. So I think as we get more Lukes, and I'd imagine as the game goes on, we'll have multiple Luke units that you could put in a deck. You could have a Luke deck with like 5 different Lukes in there, and suddenly this lightsaber is going to be great. So I think we haven't reached the full potential of this card because we need more Lukes. But as it stands, with just what we've had spoiled, I don't think this card is very strong.
All right, I have nothing to add on that one. You think you said everything there. What about Admiral Ozil? 2 cost, 2/3. Action, play an Imperial unit from your hand. It enters play ready. Each opponent may ready a unit. And I think we're going to solo first.
I don't know. I don't get this card.
I think
I just don't get it.
he's dog water. Can we move on to the next one?
Okay.
I think you're kind of missing something here.
I have some thoughts to give here for sure.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, I thought we were just done talking about this guy.
Maybe you're done.
I'm not done.
Here we go. Okay. All right. So do you have more to say?
Can someone explain the card to me?
Okay.
I just understand it first, and then I'll have an opinion.
Tell us about it, McBauer.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess the question is, why would you use this card? What's the action good for? Is that the idea here? You play a guy and he's ready. Like, what more do you need? You play Palpatine from your hand, and he's ready. So then you can then attack with him. It's as simple as that. If you have the initiative, the opponent's not going to have any exhausted cards. So, first action you take, you do the Ozil action. You play your big card, you play your Palpatine, and the opponent has nothing too ready. So, you just got a free Palpatine, and he's ready.
See, this is the kind of thing. Why'd you tell everybody that? Why didn't you wait until Worlds?
Do you guys not
that's
read
the
the
obvious
card?
use of the card.
Just read what it says.
Yeah, I agree with Wu. That's what it says it does. You play Imperial, and he's ready. How's that not good?
I just didn't understand. Now I understand.
He's such low cost that there's like no opportunity cost for playing this card. So it's a 2/3 for 2. It's like the base stat line for a 2-drop.
All right, you guys are right. I'm wrong. You're smart. I'm not. You're good looking. I'm not attractive. General Dodana, 4 cost, 4/4, gives other friendly rebel units 1/1. And that's. I guess I'm first on this guy. In the demo decks, McBauer did all the villains, and I did the heroes the other day. And almost every single deck, I just built around this guy. Just like with the card pool right now, I just think he's just like, it's so easy to just build like rebel focused decks and just give them all +1/+1. That just seems like one of the best things you can do in this game right now. I love this guy. Put 3 of them in every deck and just profit. McBauer?
I don't think I quite love him as much as you do. Obviously, if they just kill him, that 1/1 goes away, but just get a Sentinel out there or something, or I don't know. You have the initiative, you get to use it more, maybe. But, I mean, 1/1 stats on your guys is good if you can keep Dodana alive, so I think he's pretty solid. I don't want to say he's, like, amazing, but he's pretty good.
Do you like this guy, Will?
I do. I mean, I looked at like the Chewie deck I was playing, and it like works really well in there because you got a lot of Sentinels, and you got those like stupid droids that are 1/4s, and giving that +1/+1 is like really strong. Like anything with 1 power is getting 100% more power from this, which is the biggest gap, I guess, other than having a 0 power card, which I don't think we've seen. But yeah, it's like the kind of really strong effect. But also, you need to, like, build around it because of the rebel thing, but also because if you just play it and they kill it, it's, like, not doing much for you.
All right, we gotta keep going. Sorry, we didn't hear from you on that one, Solo. Rogue Operative, 3 cost. Saboteur, Raid 2. And Solo, you want to tell us about this one?
We got another Saboteur card, so that's cool. He's not bad. Like he's a card that pairs well with the previous card you guys just talked about. So he's definitely, I think he's an aggressive card. This is a very aggressive card. And with the above card we talked about, he's what, a 5/4 for 3 costs? And he gets around Sentinels and Shield. So funny enough, he gets around a deck you would build to protect the card above.
To me, this guy's mega top tier. Raid 2 is very super good. Yeah, this guy is in an upper echelon, in my opinion, in this game. Any other thoughts out there? Because we're just trying to end quickly here.
I think he's pretty good. I don't think this card has anything too crazy though. But Saboteur's a good keyword and Raid's good. Yeah, it's just solid stats. You just got to be on the offensive to really get value out of it. But as long as you're winning the ground war, you're going to win more with this card.
Yeah, nothing to add here.
Yeah, this guy's one of the top 5 cards we've seen. I'll go on record. Shoot first. Yeah, it gives like Han's ability on stuff. Seems pretty powerful. Any thoughts on that, McBobber?
I love it. I mean, I love Han's ability, and that you just whip it out at any surprise moment to hit somebody and keep your guy alive. Seems good.
You like it, Will?
It's a beast.
Yeah, I think this is the best removal card we've seen so far. Cost 1. It's very. I think it's very strong.
It's abusive.
All right.
It's an abusive card.
You guys are high on this one. Okay, I thought it was just a random card, but I guess it's good.
This is a card that you don't even mind breaking color to play.
Really?
You know, going into the.
That's a hot take.
No, I mean, no, I don't like it. You pay 2, and in maybe certain cases, you pay 3 for that.
Well, you have to play +2. You have to play +2 when you break color, right? So that you're paying 3 for this, and if you're off color,
I thought it was per.
I think it's 2 per time you're off, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's good. I don't know if it's that good.
Off color, I think the best part about that card is that it costs 1.
That's what I like
about it.
Yeah. What about? Do you like Asteroid Sanctuary? It exhausts an enemy unit and gives a shield token to a friendly unit that costs 3 or less. Do you like that one, Will?
Maybe. I don't like. I need to see this one in action. I don't know.
What do you think about?
It does some stuff. You need to convert that shield token into a card, basically, for me to want to do this. So, like, if that shield token mains, your guy kills a unit and then lives, I'm gonna like this a lot more.
Do you like this, Solo?
I think this card is as good as the meta dictates.
Okay. I'm just going to come out and say that this is the best card in the game so far that I've seen. It's the number 1 card.
This is like, you're saying this multiple times.
No, I said it. I gave you a top 5 and I gave you the number 1 card. This is the number 1 card. Exhaust an enemy unit and give a shield token to something for 2 cost? That's absolutely insane.
Well, shield token to one of your dorks, not to any unit. But
I mean, that's still... You can have a dork that's buffed somehow or something. It's still just super good.
I'll take the over on best card in the game. So like if it's anything but the best card in the game, I win this bet.
I think it's number 1 right now. It's just so insane to exhaust something and give a shield token for 2. I just think that's insane. Like shields are really strong in this game. I don't know. You think the restriction on 3 or less makes it not as good?
Obviously, it makes it not as good, right?
Yeah.
But because it narrows the field, and also like
Okay.
to make your shield token become removable, you
Hold
want
up.
it on big stuff usually.
Hold up. Nope, I'm gonna disagree with you there. There's a card called Rogue Operative. This card gets better with this card.
What's Rogue Operative?
It's right here, one we just talked about.
Oh, this guy?
Yeah, Rogue Operative.
Oh, he gets the shield, and then that's a good point.
I don't understand. I mean,
so he attacks for 4. The Rogue Operative attacks for 4. Now he has a shield on him, so it's harder to kill him. And he's just
but
like,
the point was this making it 3 or less is obviously worse than
yeah, it
shield
is.
on anything, right? That was my point. Not that it's not good to put it on something 3 or less. It's that it limits the field of things you can put it on.
All right,
It does limit.
we're supposed to start our stream 2 minutes ago. So what do you guys think about General Veers? He's at 3-3. He's basically the same conversation as this other guy, right? Dodana. He just costs less.
Yeah, he basically. The game is basically saying villains are going to be really strong, and heroes are going to have a problem, like every Star Wars game.
Okay. All right. Well, hey guys, I think we're gonna just wrap this up. I know we had to kind of finish quickly there, but we got a stream to start. But yeah, we're gonna try to record more often, so we just do release kind of videos like this when some new cards come out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Definitely comment about your opinions on some of these cards in the comments, and we'll see you on the next one. If you made it this far, you're my hero. You guys gonna say bye to the fans?
Thanks for watching, folks.
See you later.
Fans, mans.